I'm now going to replace this extractor fan that's in a downstairs bathroom. You may be wondering why I'm replacing it when it's still working. That's because it has actually gone really noisy. And it's not actually making the noise that it normally makes. It normally squeaks and squeals for about 5 minutes before it goes quiet like that. So we're going to replace it anyway because obviously it is on its way out. We're going to start off by isolating the electricity. So this is the consumer unit, and you can see that the downstairs lights are clearly identified. But you should never take it for granted that that switch isolates all the downstairs lighting circuit. You always need to check. So we're just going to isolate that switch. We can then lock off the MCB using a lock off. So I can now put the padlock through there, and there is no chance of anybody switching that circuit back on whilst we are working on it. As an extra precaution, we're just going to put a label on there that says do not switch on. The new fan is a slightly different size to this one, so there is going to be a bit of a gap around here, but there's not much we can do about that. I'm going to carefully take a sharp knife. I'm just going to cut the bond between the actual fan and the wallpaper. Some fans are held in position with a small screw. There doesn't seem to be a screw on this, but we have a small hole at each side like that. So there must be a tab in there, so we're going to push something in there to release the tab, and then we're going to pull the fan forwards. A small Allen key like that works well because it fits in the hole really well. Before we touch any of the electrical connections, there is a live, switch live and neutral in here. So we need to take an approved voltage tester, and we're just going to check that this is working, which it is. I'm also just going to check that the actual probes are working by doing a continuity test. So I'm going to hold the two probes together. So we now know that the probes are working and also the actual tester is working. And now I'm going to probe between all three of the terminals. So I'm probing between live and neutral and live and switch live. So we're absolutely certain now that that is isolated correctly. We're now just going to test the tester is working again, which it is, and we're just going to check that the probes are still in good condition by doing a continuity test on that. So we now know that the tester is still working, so we are now safe to work on the wiring. This particular wiring, we've got a red wire which is live, a yellow wire which is switch live, and a blue wire which is neutral. So we're just going to undo the wires now. So there are three wires. We've also got the earth wire there that has been cut off. So we're now going to undo the screws that are holding the fan to the wall. Then we can carefully pull the fan out. The replacement fan that's going back in there is a vent-Axia, and this is a silhouette fan, and this actually has a DC motor in it. So this actually only uses 6 watts of electric. So it actually looks like that. So the cable's going to come through there, we're going to wire it up to that terminal, and then inside of there is where we can adjust everything if you need to adjust it. So you can adjust it from high speed to low speed, and you can also turn the overrun timer. That is all neatly in there. I'm now just going to get the fan in the position where I want it. So I'm going to get it as straight as I can, and then I'm just going to spot through for the fixing holes. You will notice that I put an envelope below, that is to catch any drill dust. I'm now just going to drill the holes. Now I'm just going to push a ball plug into each of the holes. Now we've got that in position, we can now put the screws in. I'm not going to replace the wiring, but the actual amount of conductor that's showing is a little bit on the long side, so I'm just going to snip a bit off. I'm going to start off by replacing the live wire. We're now just going to remove the centre port from the fan, and we're just going to check that it's set up correctly. So I'm just going to adjust the run on timer. So that is on for the maximum amount of time now. And it's also on the faster speed. Can now replace that. Can then simply hook the cover back on and tighten the screw underneath. Then remove the envelope. We can now just take some cork and we can run a bead down the side there. And then once this is decorated and that is painted, you will never know.